Did you know the showdown between Elijah and the prophets of Baal wasn't just a test of faith, but a direct challenge to the economic and political power structure of ancient Israel? This fiery event wasn't just about rain or drought. It was a bold declaration against corruption, idolatry, and spiritual compromise. What happened on Mount Carmel was far more profound than most people realize. Stay with me as we unpack this extraordinary moment in history. If you love exploring incredible Bible stories and learning hidden truths, subscribe to our channel now. Hit that bell icon so you never miss another deep dive into Scripture's most unforgettable moments. Imagine 3 years with no rain. The land is cracked, the rivers have dried up, and famine has gripped the nation. This wasn't just a weather phenomenon. It was God's judgment on Israel for turning away from Him to worship Baal, the Canaanite god of rain and fertility. King Ahab and his queen, Jezebel, had led Israel astray, building altars to Baal and massacring the Lord's prophets. Elijah, the lone prophet of Yahweh, declared the drought as a divine punishment, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation. But here's the lesser-known fact. Baal worship wasn't just about religion. It was deeply tied to the economy. By worshiping Baal, the Israelites believed they were securing agricultural prosperity and political stability. Elijah's announcement of a drought wasn't merely a spiritual challenge, it was an economic one. He was essentially telling the nation, "Your God of rain has no power. Only Yahweh controls the heavens." What would happen next? A bold prophet, 450 prophets of Baal, and a showdown on a mountain. Elijah was about to put everything on the line. Elijah called for a public confrontation. He summoned King Ahab and the 450 prophets of Baal to Mount Carmel, a site that held significant religious symbolism. Mount Carmel was known as a sacred place for Baal worship. Elijah was boldly challenging them on their own turf. Elijah's challenge was simple, yet profound. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. But if Baal is God, follow him. This wasn't just a question for the prophets of Baal. It was a call to repentance for the entire nation of Israel. The terms of the challenge were clear. Each side would prepare a bull as a sacrifice and call on their God to send fire from heaven. The God who answered with fire would be declared the true God. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and the crowd waited in tense anticipation. Here's something most people don't realize. Fire from heaven wasn't just a random test. In Baal mythology, Baal was often depicted as a storm god who hurled lightning bolts. Elijah was deliberately challenging Baal in an area where he was supposedly strongest. It was a brilliant strategy to expose Baal's impotence and Yahweh's supremacy. The prophets of Baal went first. From morning until noon, they cried out, "O Baal, answer us!" They danced, shouted, and even slashed themselves with swords and spears until their blood flowed, a common practice in ancient pagan rituals to gain a deity's attention. But there was no voice, no answer, no fire. Elijah couldn't resist mocking them. "Shout louder. Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened." His sarcasm cut through the tension like a knife, highlighting the absurdity of their futile efforts. As the day wore on, the prophets became more desperate. Their frenzied cries filled the air, but the heavens remained silent. The crowd, once captivated, now began to realize the futility of Baal worship. If Baal was silent, what would happen when Elijah called on Yahweh? The answer would leave no doubt about who truly held the power. When it was Elijah's turn, he did something astonishing. He repaired the altar of the Lord, using 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel, a symbolic act of restoration. He dug a trench around the altar and drenched the sacrifice, wood, and stones with water. Not once, but 3 times. Why the water? Elijah wanted to make it unmistakable that no trickery was involved. This was about the raw, undeniable power of God. Then Elijah prayed a simple but profound prayer. Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. And then it happened. Fire fell from heaven, consuming not just the sacrifice, but the wood, stones, soil, and even the water in the trench. The crowd fell prostrate, crying, "The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God!" This wasn't just a miracle. It was a moment of national transformation. The people who had wavered for so long finally saw the truth. But this story doesn't end with fire. What happened next sealed the fate of Baal worship in Israel. With the prophets of Baal utterly defeated, Elijah ordered them to be seized and executed at the Kishon Valley, fulfilling the law's demand to purge Israel of false prophets. But Elijah's work wasn't done. The drought still gripped the land. Elijah climbed back up Mount Carmel and knelt in prayer. 7 times he sent his servant to look toward the sea, and on the 7th time, the servant reported seeing a small cloud rising from the sea. Elijah declared, "Go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." The sky grew black with clouds, the wind rose, and a heavy rain began to fall, ending 3 years of drought. This wasn't just a weather event. It was a powerful sign of God's mercy and faithfulness. The sudden downpour wasn't just a miracle. It was also a symbolic cleansing of the land from the stain of Baal worship. The rain marked a new beginning, a renewal of Israel's covenant with the Lord. The story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal isn't just a historical account. It's a timeless reminder of God's sovereignty, faithfulness, and unmatched power. It's a call to reflect deeply on our own lives and examine the altars we've built in our hearts. Are we fully committed to God, or do we waver between Him and the distractions of the world? Elijah's powerful question, how long will we waver between two opinions, echoes across centuries, challenging every generation to choose who they will serve. Elijah's courage, unwavering faith, and obedience to God stand as a bold example for all believers. He wasn't afraid to stand alone, to trust God against impossible odds, and to act decisively in the face of overwhelming opposition. His victory on Mount Carmel wasn't just about proving God's power. It was about calling the people of Israel back to their Creator, reminding them of the covenant they had abandoned. Mount Carmel remains a symbol of triumph over spiritual complacency and idolatry. It reminds us that no false god, whether it's made of wood, stone, or the modern idols of success, wealth, or technology, can ever compare to the one true God. Only He has the power to answer with fire, to change lives, and to bring renewal to a land and its people. If this story moved you, consider sharing it with someone who needs encouragement in their faith journey. Spread the message that the Lord, He is God. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment about what stood out to you most, and subscribe to our channel for more impactful Bible stories and teachings that deepen your understanding and ignite your faith. Remember, God is faithful, sovereign, and always ready to turn hearts back to Him. Trust in Him today. The Lord, He is God.